So let's get into some of this MRA plus bullshit. Now, I don't give a shit about mass movements and revolutionary movements and salvation movements, because I'm more particular about my help, my compassion, my love, my aid. I don't believe everybody can or should be saved. I don't believe in this humanity and we're all in this together and so on and so forth. This Christian bullshit that most of you can't even imagine thinking outside of. These premises are ingrained in the average person's mind from a small age, to the point where they can't envision any world outside it. For me, this MRA shit is just a slight advancement. I agree with a lot of what is being said. Women are indeed fucked up. But every man I talk to knows this. I don't have to make a video and go online to tell people that women are fucked up. And if somebody doesn't know that women are fucked up, then he should fucking go to hell. I don't give a shit about some idiot who still idolizes women. I'm not here to save every fucking retard out there. I'm not a Jesus Christ. I'm not a Messiah. I'm not a Lenin who wants to save the working class. I have more specific and more particular tastes. I believe in, if I'm going to save, if I'm going to help anyone, if I dare to help anyone, it has to be of a specific sort of person. He has to have the right attributes. He has to be somebody who can be salvaged. I'm not interested in genetic garbage. I want to see a lot of this stuff about going your own way and men going their own way. It's very particular to each individual. You can't tell a person who's obsessed with sex, who has to have sex, to turn his back on females. It's not going to work. For instance, in my experience, I found that people of African descent, Negroes, and I know this is going to be a little controversial and some will call it racist, but you know, I don't give a shit about that, are more obsessed with that. I mean, they'll fuck anything that moves. They can't live without sex. For him, their whole existence relies on sex, on spreading their seed, on fucking women. You can't convince somebody like that to completely turn his back on females. And of course, there's exceptions to the rule. Every rule is supported, is actually reinforced by the existence of exceptions. So this blanket revolution where all men are going to be saved and one strategy fits all is the delusion of a fucking moron, a naive little boy who through other men is trying to exact revenge upon the females that have hurt him. I mean, there is a strategy of using, you know the old saying, misery loves company? Well, this is a case of this. He's figured that, a person has figured that if he can't have this or that, which he really wants, then nobody should have it. Or that because he has a particular level of libido, or if he has certain talents and certain traits, that he's under the impression that all have these. Now, I too was disillusioned with women at an early age. I didn't want to have anything to do with women. I found the whole obsession with them absurd. I couldn't understand it. Especially when I experienced sex, I couldn't understand it. It was overhyped. The reason I had to use women was because I had a goal. And the goal was particular to me. I wanted to pass on my genes. I wanted to pay homage to my past. I wanted to give back to my ancestors who sacrificed so much for me. And I'm not saying that everybody should do this, but I too was in a boat where I was willing to live my entire life without women. I was happy, actually, to be like that. I didn't expect other men to follow my example. I knew that other men were more base, because not everybody's, just as women are not the same as men, not all men are created equal. There's stupid men, there's more intelligent men, there's more crass men, there's more sensitive men, and so on and so forth. This blanket, I want to save men, is really a lie. It's a big fucking hoax. It's a boy who has just realized certain things about women, and because he wants to get back at them still, because the wound is still fresh, he's using other men as a means to get back at the women. He's saying that since he was rejected, he didn't find what he wanted, women disappointed him, because he thought that if you freed the beast, that it would be like licking your face and be all tame and just and kind, and he was naive. So now he's trying to get back, but because he doesn't want to make it obvious, he's using other men. So he's spreading this agenda, and it's attracting not people like him, because I place him, I'll be honest, I place him on a level above the average. He doesn't attract people like him. He attracts people who can't get laid and who are using this as a means to justify or to explain or to excuse themselves. If you can accomplish something but refuse it, it's different than I can't and I sour grape it and I pretend like I never wanted it. These are two different things. Now, I rejected females, and then when I decided that I needed a female to have a child, because that was my choice and I was willing to pay the price for it, whatever the price might have been. Of course, I had a limit, but I was willing to pay a price. When you want a goal accomplished, you have to pay a price. You have to accept that price. And you have to set like when you're buying a house, you have to set a upper limit that you're not willing to exceed. So that's what I did. And I accomplished my goal. Now, most people attracted to these MRA bullshit things are people losers that are unattractive. I mean, you have to put yourself in a female's position. Would you go for a lot of these people? Some of them are ill, some of them are degenerate, some of them are very unattractive. The reason why paternalism worked is because these people could find a mate easily when women were repressed sexually. Paternalism pretty much takes away a female's sexual choice. And that's the only power a woman has. I mean, you can see it in a girl writes what. She writes all these things. She agrees with the MRA, and yet she is having sex. She's not rejecting sex because her entire being is sex. She's a female. Even though she's a tomboyish female, she's still a female. She cannot do without sex. There's a notion out there that men can't do without sex. It's because men can't have sex anytime they want it. It's women. And if you read Weininger, you'll see that whereas for a man, sex is centralized in his sex organs, for a female, it's her entire body. Her entire being is a sex organ. She is sex personified. She's nature personified. Once you understand what that means, you'll understand females, and you'll stop being so resentful towards them. You can't be resentful towards an animal, a creature, a phenomenon that has no clue what it's doing. It's part of its nature. Once you take away the controlling mechanism of reason, which men were, you unleash nature, then you don't expect it to act in a rational way. This person, Stardust, thought that freedom was the panacea, the panacea, as I pronounce it in Greek. That it would resolve all issues, that you free humanity and they will all behave in the proper manner. That's bullshit. That's naivete. That's stupidity. I call it retardation. That's a stunted mind, thinking that nature is benevolent towards his self-interest. It takes force, it takes control, it takes authority. That's why women are attracted to authority, when a man exhibits power, authority, confidence. What is confidence? If you analyze it, confidence is indifference. What is indifference? If you analyze indifference, it's power. We are indifferent towards what we're independent from. What's another word for independent? Freedom. That's right. When we're free from something, we're indifferent towards it. We don't care. Care is a manifestation of need. We care about what we need. We care about what we're dependent upon. So when a man shows indifference towards a woman, he's showing power. He's saying that either I can find another woman that can serve my purpose, or I don't need to be serviced. So that's power, and women are attracted to that. That's what I call in my essay, The Feminization of Man, the bad boy factor. The nice boy strategy is, and you see this in primate systems, it's placating the female, bribing her, becoming a carpet for her to step on. In chimpanzee social systems, the beta males give the females gifts. They ally with her against other females within the group, not against the alpha male, but against other females within the group. They take care of the infant so she can go out foraging. So they make themselves useful to the female in the hopes that she will give him sex. That means that she will give him the opportunity for him to pass on his genes under the watchful eye of the dominant male. Now, in modern systems, in human systems, the dominant male is an abstraction. It's called an institution. You can call it government, church, whatever. That's the dominant, that's the only male allowed to most males. Now I'm not going to get into the whole what males are excluded from this or conspiracy theories regarding this. I'm just going to focus on just the mechanics for now. Now I want to get to the there's a movie that's because I think a lot of messages are passed through movies. In the Fight Club, the message is this. Well, the first message is that society, modernity, forces a division in the human being, in both women and men. It forces a division between a human's social and his instinctive drives. I call them memes and genes. The meme sometimes tells you to act in one way, and contrary to your genes, to your genetic predisposition. Monogamy is a manifestation of this. It's an example of this. In monogamy, it's enforced upon the individual to think that he only must have one female or one male. Whereas in nature, his genetic drive is to have multiple partners. For the female, this is more, in regards to time, it's more long-term. That means it's not like in a male where he can change partners pretty much from day to day or from hour to hour, but it's within 7 years, because for her, the act of procreation has more costs, because she has to gestate the offspring and wean it and so on. So there's more risk to her. That's one reason why females have become more social and more tolerant, because they're more dependent on others during that period of gestation and weaning, and they need other females and other males to support her in that, so she can be successful. That's why all of female energies and mental energies are focused towards relationships. I mean, any woman you talk to that deals with anything, even this girl writes what, it's all has to do with relationships. Nothing about any other topic. No other topic, in fact. It all comes down to relationships. And if a relationship veers off that, it's quickly returned to that. It's like emotions, relationships, how feelings, how people feel, how to belong, how to tolerate. It's all about creating a harmonious environment, so because this facilitates the female's role as for bringing up offspring. She needs a stable, safe environment for her offspring for that 70-year period at least. And because she's been specialized and she's smaller, less muscled, less able to cope with the environment than a man is, she's dependent on the group far more than the man is. So we have this schizophrenia. The society tells you to do one thing, and your genes, your instincts tell you to do another thing. This creates the necessity for a splitting of your personality, and this is represented in the movie itself. You know, the Brad Pitt character is nature, the nature part. He's the sexual instinct, which has to be fought over. That's why in the end of the film, the main character kills that what was he called? Like he was called the Tyler Durden character. He kills it, and he returns himself to a rational, and he does so by destroying everything. That was symbolic. It was like a leveling of the reality. He wants to start over. Now, the other message of the film. Notice that in the film, he saves all these men from these servile jobs. And notice it's never a producing job like a farmer. It's always a servile job. He saves them from that. And then he realizes that these men have simply substituted one authority for another. They've been freed from the social, from the systemic authority, but then they've attached themselves to him. He's become their authority. And he becomes disillusioned. They worship him as a god. They chant his name. They hang from his every word. He becomes the replacement. He becomes the god figure. It's the same thing in religion. And these liberals are guilty of this. Once God is killed or becomes too childish to believe in, a lot of these people can't cope with this. They need a replacement for this. So they latch on to another authority. Because as Sytar says, freedom is terrifying. Not everybody can cope with it. So he realizes that these men, quote unquote, who he is freed, cannot actually be free because they need a leader. He becomes disillusioned then. He realizes that all his efforts were in vain. And that's why he actually turns against his other side, which is relishing the dominance, right? The Brad Pitt character is enjoying being dominant, of controlling these people. Whereas the rational side finds it disheartening because this is not what he wanted. He realized that not everybody could be free. And not everybody could be free because not everybody has the same genes. Not everybody has the same courage. And not everybody has the same intelligence. Awareness. Not only awareness, but the ability to cope, to deal with what you perceive. So unlike these revolutionaries who want to save mankind supposedly and whatever, that's the motive they tell themselves that they have. I am more specific. I'm not interested in the mass. I don't care about women and I don't care about men. I care about the individual. Does he have the qualities that I think require preservation or that could lead towards a better awareness? And that's, of course, it's up to my judgment. So I don't think everybody deserves or can be freed, or should be freed, actually. Imagine a world of free, well, it's impossible. Let's imagine that it was possible. Chaos, utter chaos. Civilization will not be possible. Anarchy is the outcome of the utopia, the liberal utopia. Anarchy. Total anarchy. And most people don't understand what that means. They think it's you free human beings and they're all gonna hug and gonna gather around campfires, chanting songs and hugging and saying we're all brothers. What world are they living in? This is based on the denial of human nature, of the past. The past teaches you. I mean, you see it, but even in the present, you see it. Once the laws disintegrate, what happens? Riots, pillaging, destruction. Man is released. He vents. His instincts are released from laws. That's why religions were invented, to control the beast and the man, because not all men were noble. They didn't have that self-control, that nobility, I call it, to distinguish between right and wrong and to regulate themselves. Not all men can regulate themselves, especially not women. Women can't regulate themselves. They're pure instinct. Any infantile mind who thought they could free women and not control women and that they're going to behave in a noble way has no clue what a female is totally unaware of what a female means in nature, what her role is, how she's developed, why she's developed like that. He has no clue. That's why he's disillusioned. For me, anytime you see somebody who's surprised by something, that means he made a mistake somewhere in the past. Disillusionment is a product of an error. That means I expected something to happen. I expected to accomplish a goal, and that this goal would result in this or that, and this didn't come true. So I become disillusioned. That's what it is. So my interest, I'm not in saving men. I don't believe in this uniform men. There's men who have higher libido. There's men who have lower libido. There are men who want families, who want children. There are men who don't want families, who can deal with not having families. There are men who are idiots. In fact, most men are morons. Why are we only talking about women and their instincts? What about men? I've seen men do the most ridiculous things, debase themselves in the most pathetic way to get pussy. You're telling me this man can now be told that, oh, your salvation lies in rejecting females. Well, he might accept it because he's failed, so he can excuse his failings. But you're telling me that a woman winks at him at a club and he's not going to forget all that shit and go running like a puppy? That's the nice guy psychology. It's ingrained in our genetics. How many people can deal with that or can cope with that? It takes a level of self-awareness. And I'm saying that a lot of these guys on these MRA sites with their MRA channels are more aware on the average. But the shit that they say makes me think they're still not up to par. They're still infants. They need a reawakening. They need to hone they've gone from humanity, the generalization of humanity, to one of manhood or manhood. Maybe they should hone their focus more. It's not all men, and if it's not all humanity, and you're excluding women, then it's not all men either. Be more focused, more precise in the audience you're directing yourself to. You're not going to save every moron out there. Most morons just want to get the rocks off. I mean, you heard Barbarossa. What's his thing? And he's a Negro, by the way, isn't he? His thing is use women for sex. So he can't control his sexual drive. How does that turn into turning your back on women? It's not turning your back on women. He's not turning his back on women. He's just telling men that women shouldn't be respected. Well, whoop-de-doo, fuck. We were waiting for him to tell us that. Any man out there who's half intelligent already know this shit. Every man, my father told me this stuff when I was a child, what women were. He's telling this, he's trying to spread the word to men. If any man has not realized this already, then he fucking shouldn't be enlightened and saved or whatever. If you commit suicide, then who the fuck gives a shit if some idiot commits suicide? Who cares? There's too many people in the world anyways. We're talking about quality here, not quantity. My interests are focused on specific types of individual. I'm trying to preserve certain types, certain principles. And most people I find are not deserving or cannot understand these. You can see that in the responses. Freud, after his vast experience with psychoanalysis, came to the conclusion that most humans were filth. That's what he said. Most humans were filth. Most humans were filth. In the case of Nietzsche, he wrote his entire thesis, all his books, towards people who would understand him, over the heads of the people who would misunderstand him. And there's many people who have misunderstood him since. He predicted this. There's many people who have talked about women, for example. Shall we mention Schopenhauer, who said Freud, who said Nietzsche, or about Weiniger? How many of you know about Weiniger, what he said? What about Spengler? Shall I go on? All this stuff is already known. Who are you saving? Are you really trying to save, or are you trying to avenge? Now, I'm not trying to change anything. For me, the environment is the environment. I adapt to it. I want people to stay, especially morons, to stay exactly the way they are. I don't care if some retard gets burned by female or still is driven by romanticism and he's going to get hurt. I don't give a shit about him. He's none of my business. I don't care. I don't care about women realizing this awakening that some infantile mind tone spoke of, that women are gonna realize suddenly they're gonna realize that they were wrong. Does he have a clue what the fucking females are about? Their level of comprehension? They're gonna shame females to back to their senses. They don't know no shame. What was that joke? Females are men minus the integrity and the intelligence. Have you heard of that joke? Was this guy a fool also? Women are going to be shamed back to a certain... They're going to deny their genetic predispositions, and because of some religious dogma, because shame is a Judeo-Christian emotion, by the way. The sense of shame, the shaming, that's a Jewish method. Women are going to be shamed back to what he considers proper behavior, despite their instinctive drives. They're gonna not pay attention to the big, the tall, the dark and handsome guy, you know, the intelligent, the funny guy who exposes his genetic qualities through his appearance, but not only his appearance, through his sense of humor. Sense of humor is a good example of a man revealing his genetic qualities, his mental genetic qualities, as they were now. Women pick up on these little things. They pick up on nuances like this, on body language, on tone of voice, on words, on jokes, on body movement, all that, because they have evolved the ability to cut through the bullshit and to perceive genetic problems. They want to exclude genetic problems from the gene pool. This has been used by men to exclude certain mental types from the gene pool. That's called socialization. And I'm not going to go into this conflict and how each culture has its own standards and how it trains females to act as genetic filters in this regard. That's another topic. I'm just gonna say this about this MRA, MRA plus, and this lovey-dovey. We're all gonna love each other. We're all gonna find love. If you're a naive, romantic, and I'm going to sound cynical to you, I'm just offering you a pragmatic, minus all emotional content, rational opinion on what is going on. I'm basing it on evolution, how evolution works, why certain things evolve, what purpose they serve. And I'm not saying one way or my way is the answer. I'm saying this is the information. What you do with it is your business. I'm not a guru. I'm not your leader. Like, I'm not selling books like some people. I'm not interested in selling books and making money out of this. If it's any interest that I have is in placing a seed. A seed is like the sperm is to genes, an idea is to memes. So I'm placing a seed in your brain of an idea. If it gestates there, if it creates, if it is allowed to gestate and to develop into something, then fine. If it's not, that's fine with me too. I'm not here to save anybody. My prime goal is to save myself and my own blood, first of all, and those of my kind. If you're not my kind, then you can go to hell. I don't give a shit. You can keep on fucking and drinking and marrying and being romantic and going to these love movies and listening to love stories and being taken in love will save the world. And you can keep on doing what you're doing. I don't give a shit. I said what my goal is. Ta-ta.